Okay, everybody. So for this video, we're going to talk about the essay that I had you read called "Moral Nation: Why Our Constitution Demands Gun Control." Now, this article is an example of what you will do for essay number 2. Okay, it addresses the same issue. It is a value claim essay. And so I'm going to use it as an example of to show you how it has all of the characteristics of a value claim. So if you remember in last week's module, I had posted this document here that explains the different value claim characteristics. Okay, and so we're going to go through the article and just show you how it meets those different criteria. Now, the article is going to be formatted in a little bit different way because, again, it is a newspaper article. It's not a college writing article, so it's structured a little bit differently, but it still meets all of the criteria. So let's go over to the article. So you see, the first thing that you have to do is make some kind of a judgment. One of the things that you can do is explain that something is moral and immoral, or immoral. And that's what this article does here. It addresses the issue of gun control, and then it says it's time that dynamic came to an end, and more importantly, it's time that the gun control issue was pegged for what it really is, a moral issue. Okay, and then here is where we get its thesis. Okay, America has a greater moral responsibility to protect its citizens. Okay, and so that is the thesis, that is the position that the article is taking. The next thing that you have to do in a value claim is define the terms of your argument. So let me show you one place where the writer does that. Okay, and so the article opens with a description of a mass shooting event. Okay, and then in the next paragraph, the writer says this. Okay. That they must provide justice. Okay, the government must provide justice for these shooting atrocities. Okay, and so justice is a value. And so the writer has to tell us, the reader, well, what does justice mean to you? And so, take a minute right now and think to yourself, what does justice mean? When I hear the word justice, what is my understanding? When I use the word justice, what is my understanding? And when you're writing a value claim, your definition should be in the context of what it is that you're writing about, right? And so here, the writer is writing about morality and the gun issue, and so the definition should relate to that some way. And so we see that right after the gunman, or not the gunman, I'm sorry, that's part of the article there. The writer of the article says this: justice must come in the form of meaningful progress on the contentious issue of gun control. And so the way that the writer defines justice in this case is meaningful progress on gun control and gun legislation. Okay, and so when you think of justice, you might not think of guns. You might probably think of fairness or something along those lines. But because this article is about the gun issue and gun control, the writer relates the definition to that. And so remember, because you are a writer, you control language. Okay, you tell the reader what different words mean. And so a word is going to mean whatever you say it means. But all you have to do, one of the things that you have to do in your essay is tell the writer, when I use this word, this is what it means. And so for the different values, the different points that you use in your essay, you want to provide a definition of what you mean by that. So again, in this case, when the writer says justice, he means progress on gun control issues. Okay. The next thing that you have to do is establish standards of judgment, the criteria. And again, for your essay, the criteria are going to be the different values that you're going to argue. And so for this particular essay, one of the criteria is justice. Okay. Another criteria that the writer is going to write about is the value of protection. Okay, and protecting the citizenry. And another one that the writer is going to write about is the issue of freedom, okay, and rights. And so those are the three criteria that the writer is going to focus on in his essay. And so what you want to do again in your essay is make clear the two or three values that you're going to argue for in your essay. So for this person, again, it's justice, it is protection, and it is freedom and rights. Okay. The next thing that you want to do, it says anticipate the reactions of different people with different values. And so, again, this writer is saying, we need greater gun control legislation. We need these types of laws. And he takes into account what the opposition will say. Okay, and the opposition is probably going to say, you want to take our guns. You want to take our guns away from us. But it's a guaranteed right in the Second Amendment. And so he addresses that, right? And so starting on this particular paragraph right here, that starts to be clear. He says, well, you know what? I'm not advocating the removal of all guns from America. Okay, so he's saying, I know what you're thinking, and that's not what I want. I don't want us to take away all the guns. Okay, but then he goes through and he clarifies what he does mean. He wants a stronger system to track and monitor gun sales and restrict other stuff. And so he goes through and he explains what he does want. But again, he hears the voice of the opposition. He says, this is what you think I'm talking about, but that's not what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm really focusing on. Okay. And so he anticipates the reaction of people with different values. Okay. Another thing that you want to do is show that your values have priority. Okay, show that your values have priority. And so one of the things that he does in this essay is in a short one sentence paragraph. He writes this: as a civilized nation. So I'm trying to highlight here. As a civilized nation, America has a greater moral responsibility to protect its citizens, and particularly its children, than it does to adhere to the Second Amendment. So you see, there are two values that are espoused in that particular sentence. There's the value of protection, protecting citizens, and there's the value of rights and freedom. And there are two values sort of in conflict right there. Okay. And so he is saying they're both important, right? The Second Amendment, the rights that you have that are outlined in the Constitution, those are important. And it's also important for the government to be able to protect its citizens. Okay. He says both of those values are very important, but he argues that it's more important for the government to be able to protect its citizens than it is for people to maintain what they consider our absolute rights. Okay, and so that's interesting. If you read, different current research, I remember an article from maybe a year ago or a few months ago that stated younger people are more willing to voluntarily give up certain freedoms for certain guarantees from the government, be it protection, financial security, that type of thing. And so, younger people are more likely or more willing to give up certain freedoms. Okay, and so you take all of that sort of into account. And like I said before in the previous video, when you show that one value has priority over the other, you're not trying to say, the other one is bad. You just have to say, I think mine are better. Okay. The next thing here. Demonstrate that your values have a beneficial outcome. Okay. And so what is the beneficial outcome? Let's keep going down. Well, one of the beneficial outcomes is this. Okay. Securing or strengthening nation security, okay, for the future of our children. That's one. That's the beneficial outcome. Make the world better, safer place for children. Here's another one right here. The government has the moral imperative to create a society that is free of the type of atrocity that occurred today. He's referencing a mass shooting that happened. Okay, and so those are the beneficial outcomes. Again, he's arguing these are not things that are just going to benefit me. They're going to benefit society as a whole. It's going to make children's lives better. It's going to give them a more hopeful future, and it's really going to eliminate some of the atrocities that we might see on a daily basis or a weekly basis happening in the country. And so he argues there's a beneficial outcome. The next criteria is the use of examples. And so I won't go through all of them, but he starts off with an example of a mass shooting here. As of my writing, this piece, 27 people are confirmed dead in an elementary school shooting in Connecticut. 20 of them are children. He references also a shooting at a mall in Oregon. So he goes through and he uses specific examples of what it is that he is talking about. And so again, you'll use that in your essays. That one's not different at all from what you do in every other essay. But then the last characteristic is use expert opinion from highly knowledgeable or highly regarded people who share your values. And so one of the things that he argues for is change in ideas, change in interpretations, change in values in a society. Okay, and he says, because times are changing, people are changing, we need to change the Constitution, change our interpretation of the Constitution. And so in order to back up what it is that he is saying, he goes back and he makes mention of Benjamin Franklin. Okay. And he says, this is what Benjamin Franklin did, and this is what he believed, and this is what he intended. Here saying that he clearly recognized that time would change, and with them the values of the people that the Constitution was meant to serve. And so he says, because of that, the founding fathers had the foresight to make the document to change, to evolve with the society that it serves, okay, to be a pragmatic document. And so that's what he does there. He goes back and he cites Benjamin Franklin and his thinking to support the argument that he's making. And so that's an example of relying on expert opinion. So as you read through this very short article, again, use it as an example of what your essay will look like. You'll expand in some areas, you'll provide more quotes, more expert opinion there, but everything that's required of the value claim essay, you can find in this particular essay here. So this is just the second example of a value claim that you can use as a model for your writing. The first one being the film Assaulted Civil Rights Under Fire. Okay? So hopefully this explanation helps you in your understanding of essay number 2 a little bit more. And as always, questions, you can either check into the Zoom conferences, email, or Canvas message. Okay, thanks. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.